Hey all, happy Friday. Welcome to the Upstream Marketing Meeting. We all know each other, but for posterity's sake, I'll say we follow the code of conduct of Kubernetes, which in short is be excellent to each other. Please add yourself to the agenda notes and add any agenda items you have in your mind. Otherwise, we'll go through our evolving agenda format, which hopefully, yeah, I think is pretty fun. And I guess you do too, or you wouldn't have shown up. So thanks for that. Kick off from the start. Normally we cover any big wins or ways in which the marketing community was able to help other parts of Kubernetes or get a message out. I don't know of anything big to list today. Anyone else have thoughts? Nope. Probably a little bit of the opposite. We've got like a little bit of a process to work through here, doing our first sort of coverage of a deprecation since the Docker shim scenario. So going into campaigns in progress, we have a big push towards content. I have a to-do of taking our new structure and adding it to the GitHub board. We don't do one-to-one. If every idea as a GitHub issue, it gets messy very quickly and it's a pain for the release team to manage. So trying to set that up on a Rev 2. In the meantime, just keeping it all in sync here in our doc. So the main thing to talk about would be the PSP deprecation article that's in progress. And then after that, we have a series of contributor articles coming through from our team to get this started, and then we'll go from there. So why don't we just start right from the top? A brief recap, like the PSP article is it's the first time we're trying to get a message out before we have all the answers, and I think that's very clear from the conversation around it. And I just want to say, like, that is a-okay. Like, we are new, we're trying to be helpful, and that will mean being patient and conversational quite a bit along the way, and trying to like draw some clear scope to different articles so that we can iterate on them without too many people being involved. But yeah, that will be a process that we learn. So Bob, anything come to mind for you that you want to jump into on this?
I guess not too much right now. The big thing that I think happened is just like there were a lot of different people working on sort of the like looking into doing something similar, and the story hadn't quite firmed up in SIG off itself, which is what I think led to at least some of the, not necessarily confusion, but the parallel efforts to sort of to get something out there.
I mean, I take some of the blame here. I did notify Divya that okay, there is already article in progress, and we talked to Sigoth, and those folks jumped in and everything. So what I am thinking is probably we should have. Uh, I don't know. I mean, as you said, right? Probably we should have a clear scoping of what goes into for the release comps and what exactly comes into contributor comps, because this looks like something that release comp would want to do. I mean, it's a release feature, right? Or do we want to do that as well, or how we want to take that? Probably that scoping should help. Because right now, I mean, frankly, it looks like a bit messy, right? Too many people just trying to put their inputs in, and I don't know if we would reach a consensus pretty soon. So
I don't know if there's a clear like difference there, because we have done deprecation posts out of band of the like release series of posts. I think that there definitely should have been like more communication between the release team and the contributor comms is a good idea. And I think it was yesterday in PM where I was talking, I had mentioned we should add contributor comms to the release channels, so that way it can be tagged in the other ones. The other thing that I think would be a great idea in general is if contributor comms winds up also helping the release comms team when it comes to proofing and editorial work for their posts. And the earlier that starts, the better. Especially after I think it was, I don't remember if it was last cycle or 119 cycle, where all the posts came in just a couple days before, and it was real hard as a blog review member to get those in and get those out on in the time that was required. And I there's a lot of overlap between the blog sub project and sort of some of the efforts of contributor comms. So I think it'd be great if Matt Caslin, a couple of the other people would be interested in being at least reviewers for the blog and getting more looped into the release team, some of the release processes, I guess, or the comms processes around it.
Okay, so maybe we can take a step back to clarify. So the initial goal of writing this PSP article, it was a working session a couple weeks ago. Bobby brought up that it was an important change and maybe an opportunity for us to get ahead of a message that might be confusing to people. And you were already starting to see signs of that confusion in the community. Did I kind of recap that right?
I think so. I know that there were a couple tweets going about. Honestly, I'd have to go back and watch the recording. And I was the one too that well, Chris mentioned the PSP thing, and we brought it up in the meeting as it'd be a good thing to do. So I don't know if I didn't realize too that the release team was already working on something.
Yeah. Okay. So our intention was to kind of get ahead of a message, even if we didn't have the exact answer. And this is a little bit of a revision of the behavior of wait till everything's done with the release, write about it, and then
yeah, which I think is still a good idea. I still think it's worth getting something out sooner for this.
Okay.
The one thing, sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was just trying to do a little bit of a retro of how do we get here? What's a healthy objective to go forward? Yeah, because if the answer is hey, it's not the right time, we're not the right writers, let's kill the PR and call it a day. But
I think
I don't think anyone's ego is in this. It's more we want to build the right pathways.
I actually really like the phrasing, some of the stuff in the PR. What might be better is if the SIG auth and SIG security are still sort of teasing out which proposal they want to go through, because they actually are working on a potential replacement for PSPs, and they're sort of deciding which avenue they want to go right now. And I suspect that they will have that done. We can ping Jordan or Tim and to see if when they expect to sort of know which way they're going. But if they lean towards one proposal or the other, that'd be a great thing to toss in there. Just we are looking at essentially a Kubernetes native potential replacement. Admission controllers are the avenue for other means of defining policy. But honestly, the blog post is great as written. I think it's a little bit more feelings than anything that else that got wrapped up in the in some of the PSP post. or the stuff around the PSP post.
Okay, could you clarify like what feelings we may or may not be missing, or maybe a better question?
No.
Yeah.
Just I think people were put back just because there were simultaneous efforts. Some people were involved in different ones.
I hear you. Okay.
Deprecation is
Yeah.
a scary word.
Yes.
Yeah. And like my takeaway was like my perception of the perception, which is getting into dangerous territory. But the idea being that like publishing a post that doesn't offer a recommendation on what replaces PSP will cause more concern than not publishing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like part of it is if you go look at like all the security best practices, they tell you to use PSPs.
Okay.
In fact, it's even part of like the CSI score for, which is like I think it's government run, but essentially it establishes a security score for your thing and how to basically do security right. And like PSPs are a part of that. So I think that, at least in this case, without, we as a project should have some general statement or idea of replacement. Emission controllers might still be the, go-to replacement. But if we are working on something, then we should probably at least say that. Sorry, I'm sort of just like talking off the top of my head
You're
on a
fine.
lot
Like
of this.
I feel like we're really in the meat of a challenging communications and roles and responsibilities conversation that's well worth having.
Yeah.
Piyush, I feel like you're at the intersection, not in a it's your fault way. Like you're in the best place to recommend some next steps. So what's standing out to you?
Right. I mean, the way I see it is for release specific thing, the only thing I believe is we can wait till enhancement freeze. I mean, that's the point where we get a bit clear picture of what exactly is going in the release, or I mean, I know we don't get to know until code freeze, but at least till enhancement freeze, we get to know that these things are changing, and at that point, we can at least link about those KPs that okay, this is something that might happen this release, or that might not happen, or whatever it is, but at least we have something to throw out, right? Rather than just saying that okay, PSP is deprecating, we don't know what's going to happen next, but at least by that time we would have some idea of what's going to happen next. Does it happen in this release? Does it happen in next release? That again depends on how fast that code goes in. But I mean, in general, for release related blocks, I think that makes more sense.
Okay. So what, if anything, do we do in this PSP pull request?
No, I think this looks good, as I guess Bob mentioned. Probably we could just wait a couple of days until SIG has a clear idea of what they are going to do next. And once we have that, we can just mention that and push it out. I don't see any other constraint from the release com side. At least, I mean, we are good as release com. We are happy that that blog is up and ready to go out. The only constraint, as Bob mentioned, is we don't know what's going to be next. So as long as SIGOT has some clarity on what's going to happen next, we should be good to go.
One other possible thing on that too is like if SIGOth wants more opinions, that's just like, SIGOth is evaluating 2 proposals as potential entry replacements. We would love, if you are interested in this, please either come to our meetings, see this mailing list thread, or comment on our docs. So that might be something to poke like Jordan or Tim about if they'd like to potentially solicit more public opinion on it.
Yeah, so we are following up with SIGOT just to to make them aware and to make sure that they put something in. And I think we should have something pretty soon.
All right, so I'll take that as a let's pause for the foreseeable future, and we'll look for you to raise the banner when you have a healthy next step.
Yep. So that sounds good.
Cool. Any other points we want to make? Questions, conversations? Cool. Okay, moving along. Other sort of campaigns in progress and well within our control, which is a nice distinction, are the contributor stories. So we've gone on a series of steps to for people to share their story of like how they contribute, first person narratives, how do they do their thing. And I definitely mixed some of them up. Looks like one of those stories in here is Bob eventually sharing how Kubernetes is shifting to async. Meant to have Chris Short has one on how he contributes, quote unquote, as a non-code contributor. And then Piyush offered a great one on his journey that we're gonna zoom in on. I've got mine that's ready for somebody to review on being a maintainer in 4 hours a week, kind of that pitch. I think we're at a point where Chris's is ready for a pull request, and it's on me to do that unless somebody else wants to volunteer too. I need a reviewer for mine, and Piyush needs some copy editing. Anyone want to fill in any of those gaps or hear more about what we're talking about?
Being new, I feel that I can take on
Yeah.
copy editing without messing anything up. So let me
Cool.
do a copy edit task for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Joel. Yeah. And when we're on that first run, we were looking for flow, grammar. You know, if everyone's gonna have their own unique style, but definitely like if parts don't make sense, or like, hey, you jump from A to B, don't know how you got to B, could you put
Sure.
A+ in there? Would be great. So I'll write you down as doing a copy edit for me. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
My cat is being very goofy, and so if I look distracted, she's trying to get into everything, including like into the microphone and on me at the moment. So excuse that.
Pets are what make meetings, better.
Oh, she's settling into the lap. We're good now. Great. And this is a future. Just noting that started a doc with Bob on his work to move towards more asynchronous communication in our SIG, which will be really cool. But no action required right now. And then non-article campaign that's in progress would be the contributor survey. Rujula has been supporting that. Any updates on where they are in the process?
Sorry, we finally finalized all the questions after going back and forth with multiple different groups, hoping to actually get the survey out next week.
Cool.
If there's anything I can do with the SurveyMonkey, I can contribute.
Oh, sorry, we can't hear you very well, Rujula. Audio's.
How about now?
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so I see that the SurveyMonkey thing is still pending, so I can actually help with that if there's anything. So,
Yeah, Bob, is there a way Rujula can help with the SurveyMonkey status being pending?
It's just honestly me or Josh going into the CNCF SurveyMonkey account and actually doing the survey. But after that, that's when we start blasting out comms.
Okay.
And that will be one that we do want to hit every SIG list individually. The only thing that I would definitely hold off on is we don't send it out before enhancements freeze.
Okay.
So let's see, freeze I think is yeah. So we would probably hold off to sending out until the 10th at the earliest, because everyone's gonna be focused on enhancements freeze, which is Tuesday.
Okay. Cool. Questions, comments, concerns? Awesome. Well, Bob, do you have something?
No, sorry.
Okay.
I didn't realize I was unmuted.
Oh no, you're good. Okay, cool. The next sort of area we go into is, or if there are any inbound requests for marketing to help out in different places, and anyone know of anything new that's come up?
I think there's one. Let me just find that.
Great.
Yeah, I saw something on SIG ContribEx where like it's a rain.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Cool. Let's check it out.
They want to send out a
Okay.
seminar thing.
They're essentially asking for a retweet.
Okay. So yeah, request to message. It's from Rin, who contributes to our marketing community. It is related to their work, and I don't think we've come up against like the work and contributor space too much. Just want to leave some space to talk about it, like our as long as it's related to contributing to Kubernetes. Is it kosher to share out, or is it something we have a lines in another part of ContribEx about?
This one I honestly don't know. I was looking through the Kate's contributor account,
Mhm.
and I don't think we have not tweeted anything that directly features like someone else that's not Kubernetes, like a Kubernetes sponsored event in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I think we have retweeted some stuff, but I'd have to go back and need to dig through the tweets a bit more.
Okay, so kind of past presidents is TBD, but leaning towards we've stuck to vendor neutral messages. I guess it would be not webinars related, even if it is related to contributing to date.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm just reviewing the social charter that we came up with initially. See if it fits. If I were the charter. Social guidelines. Here are the Great. Well, I don't see anything that explicitly says we can't, but we can certainly use our discretion. Let's I'll respond to the initial poster, and let's give it another 24 hours from this conversation to see if there are no further points made by our community of contributors, then we'll move forward. And
Okay.
and if we do have questions, like we'll address them. Does that seem fair? Okay, cool. Thanks for bringing that up, y'all. Any other? Yeah, go for it, Bob.
Oh, I just went through our entire Twitter history, and I did not see, the closest thing I could find is retweeting the fact that Nikita was featured in a newspaper,
Mhm.
but that doesn't, like, that's sort of past event, congratulatory, like, tone of that's a little bit different.
Yeah, the thing that the line that comes to mind for me is similar to other kind of social media marketing work I've done, which is my bias would be to be comfortable celebrating that Rin is speaking on their contribution to contributor experience and linking to it, but keeping vendored Twitter handles and hashtags that aren't relevant to us out of it. That's not documented anywhere. That's just my past experience. So I'm very open to discussion there.
Again, my reservation is how, I mean, where do you draw the line in those cases? I mean, the talk is, I understand the talk is about contributing to Kubernetes, but most of these talks in the end actually turn out to be, as you said, right, they might not be vendor neutral. I mean, somebody might be pitching something, and then, unknowingly we become party to that, rather than, just trying. We from our side, we would want to enhance contribution, but that would become a vendor pitch. So I don't know. I mean, it feels like setting up a bad precedence. But
Yeah, and that's where being like really crisp on what the decision making factors are, like, in the ones that are coming to mind for me is like, are you an active contributor to SIG contributor experience? And if so, have you requested that we elevate a message? And then third, like, have you confirmed that it's vendor neutral enough where it's appropriate? So we should ask Rin directly for that third point. And then if those three pass, then message something that fits to our sort of tone of the channel and send it.
yeah, I mean, as long as it's only about contributing to Kubernetes, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I fully imagine other topics will come up if it's part of their job, but if it's primarily about it, like, yeah, we're really, we should clarify, like, what does it mean?
Yep. I'm a little uncomfortable with it in general, because like, even thinking about the scope of it, as like, Google does a thing called like Google Open Source Live. They did a Kubernetes one where like everything about it was essentially about upstream Kubernetes, and that was something we did not like. I think we would have gotten flack because it was Google vendor association there, even though it was completely upstream focused content. And yeah.
I also think it opens up a dangerous can of worms that if people see us promoting a meetup on the Kubernetes Twitter, they will start asking us to promote other meetups, which will not meet those criteria that we just mentioned. And then we will have the overhead of having to go through all of those and tell people that their stuff doesn't fit.
Yeah. This is totally random, but the award right behind there in the center is awesome. She also,
Okay, so if we're so Bob, in the context of, as a subgroup for SIG contributor experience, like I feel like this is one of those decisions that, if I understand correctly, shouldn't be made in real time on a meeting so that it's more inclusive of other members contributing. Is there an appropriate channel should I message this out? Is there, what's the right pathway there, would you say?
It would probably wind up being discussion on the issue. The one thing that I should also do is poke the other leads. Yeah, I think they will sort of be aligned, but yeah, I should. Either way, there should be a artifact someplace of that. That's not in a meeting.
Yeah, I mean, as a result of the conversation on that issue, we could open a PR that clarifies that further in the social media guidelines. Like, so
Yeah.
we'll definitely get a permanent item from it. I just want to make sure we're including. I feel like if we're including the leadership of the subgroup, it should be sufficient to make a decision. If Rajula, Kazan, Piyush, Yumi, it's pretty much the gang. Paris advises, so maybe we'll at them as well. This cat is aggressive.
I love it.
Like trying to type and she's rubbing her head against my hand.
Oh,
If it's gonna if it's gonna become a big discussion, I just also want to make sure that we let the original poster know it's not their fault for posting and asking us to do the thing. We're just figuring it out.
Yeah, totally.
Also, I just noticed Matt, your award sitting back there too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be hung up over here, but it's chilling on the printer for now. Okay, great. Well, I'll kick off the thread and add relevant people on there, and we'll take it from there. But definitely holding off until further discussion. Good. Okay, moving right along. A conversation from the ContribEx meeting on Wednesday was talking about what happened to SIG profiling, like the kind of SIG blog posts that were featuring them, if they're what could happen in the future. Just want to bring that up. An interesting idea popped up out of there. But I also want to take a second, like Kazlan, you did more of those than anyone else. So I think you did 2, and out of the 40 or so that were listed, I think you did the most.
I think I only ended up doing 1 really, but did I do 2?
You tried to
I think
do
I did
another.
1.
You did the
I was
one.
helping someone else with another.
Okay, so 1.5.
That still might be more. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it seemed like
Yeah.
they were people would sign up for them and then they would not be able to complete them in a sense.
Yeah, they do take a considerable amount of effort, and that you have to collaborate with the SIG chairs and make sure that you're representing their SIG appropriately and all that. So it takes some time and effort. What were you going to ask about them?
Yeah, that was basically like if so an idea that came up was like, what if we did something that kind of do from an article point of view for my day job, where like we have a long-standing doc of like all the different sort of headline devices we're going for, and leave room for people to be quoted. So we can have a single document that we share with all the SIGs and say, hey, like we'd love to feature you. We need some quotes from you. So either you as a lead or delegate to somebody else, add a few lines in there, and we'll turn it into an article. See if maybe centralizing it could give it some more momentum, and basically like it's a little bit of a buckshot approach. Like we send it to everybody and let them opt in, and we go to where people are showing up, as opposed to feeling like we have to chase down one at a time.
Yeah, the more formulaic we make it, I think the more likely we are to get content out of it. So
Cool. Okay, cool. So I think the action, so I signed up for the action of bringing it up today. So I'm going to check that box in my head. I think the next step would be, I don't have the issue in front of me, but there's the issue that lists every single SIG. I would love to turn that into like H2 or H3 headers in a Google Doc. And like with a table of contents at the top and like some text saying like what we're trying to do. It's like, if you're interested in an article about you, add some of your thoughts here and message us here. You know, it's all pretty vague. It's just like some sort of structure needs to go around it. If anyone would either want to either collaborate with me on that or feel like that somewhat coherent rambling is enough to go from, I'm looking for volunteers on that front.
I was hoping to create a guide to help with that stuff. So, but I haven't done it. So clearly I could use an accountability partner.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we could work together on that and together we could get it done.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll aim for, let's say we'll aim for a draft. We've got so many other little pieces in progress. We'll give ourselves a couple weeks, maybe a month. We'll have a status update again next week, but we'll go from there. Cool. All right, we're at the sort of improvements and recurring items tail end of things. Haven't quite adopted that. And I keep tidying up this agenda as we go. We have a couple bots. We use one of them regularly. Any sort of updates or things in progress there that we should talk about on the infrastructure side?
Nothing specifically.
Cool. Any major events happening on the calendar where we should respond by tweeting or posting or emailing more frequently? Bobby said there's a milestone coming up for enhancement freeze. Is there anything that would be helpful to message to contributors, or is it like more info?
The release team has been sending stuff out. The only thing that would probably be worth would be getting an additional tweet out about it. This is like, I think we talked about a long time ago, but having some templates for some of the big like release milestones for various tweets and all that would be awesome. Just that it's just like enhancements freeze is coming up. It's this date. Hit the button. Do the thing.
And what's the call to action on enhancement freeze? Like, go finish what you're doing, or like, where is there a CTA, like a place we want to send them?
Essentially, your enhancement has to be fully like in a implementable state with a PRR review in by the deadline.
Right. So this year,
yeah.
I guess this year they have enhancement as opt-in, right? So people have to add their enhancements to a tracking sheet, and only those enhancements would be tracked. So it's not, I mean, it's not a polling kind of a thing. It's more of, people have to tell that, okay, these are the enhancements we want to finish in this release. So there is a tracking sheet. Anybody can go and edit there. That's the idea. And just to add to that, we are doing the same for release comms as well. So if somebody wants to write a feature blog, they would also have to opt in. And we are discussing it with release leads, but I guess the deadline would be same as the enhancement freeze deadline. So probably we should tweet that as well.
Okay. think the next up, if Piyush, if you could write a first draft tweet of what you just said about the blog, and Bob, if you can extend on, is there somewhere to link that talks about enhancement freeze? There must be somewhere.
There's a post on KDev about it.
Okay. Link to KDev post. Okay. And then, but if those come together, send them over to Caslin and she'll queue them up. Maybe we archive them in the contributor tweet repo for later reference, or I don't know, you're better at documenting this stuff than I am. Pop it where you think would make sense for reuse. Does that sound good, y'all? Cool. Okay. I took a look around. I think we covered our bases on open issues and requests on the issue walk area.
There are some that I haven't put in yet because I've been in an event all week and it's been very tiring. But I have 3 tweets that I need to get into the tweet repo, which are about KubeCon scholarships, the addition of pronouns in the Slack. Awesome, Joel,
Nice.
that you have that on here today. I need to remember to do that myself. So I enjoyed seeing that. And then CRD and admission webhooks. There's a thing about that I need to tweet. So I have a list.
Nice.
Hopefully later today, I will get those drafts into the repo at least. And some of them can be later than others. So we'll figure out when to hold and when to push and get that all done.
Cool. And only thing I throw out there is the challenge with the repo is that it won't expand any URLs and like make the little cart. So if the call to action is worth
that is annoying.
visualizing, it might be worth doing out of band on Hootsuite.
That's true.
Twitter. Yeah.
Good
womp, womp.
point.
One day we'll
We should really document that on something somewhere if it isn't. I feel like we might not have that in the README or anything. We should probably update that.
Sure.
Make that a note as well.
Yeah, I think I have it as an issue, but it's worth checking. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Open issues, possible for tweet to embed media, and I've got some pictures of it. Rajula looked into it. Seems like the card support has to be enabled from the website through HTML tags. Oofda. Wait.
So useful having an issue on that, though. We can go back and look at what we figured out.
Yeah, adding to chat. Yeah, sorry, Rajula, you responded immediately, and we're looking like 2 months later. I never followed up. So, is there potentially something we need to add to the .dev domain in order to get this to work?
It's there. It's not there on just a couple of pages, but in the rest of the place, it's already there. So you can just check with the validator. So you can check if the card is being displayed or not.
Okay, so maybe the celebration page just,
Yeah.
What wasn't there for the validator. Huh, the more you know. That's it. I'm bookmarking that for future reference. Cool. Well, great. You can close that issue then. Sounds like you already solved the problem. Or maybe actually a PR to the README, say, like mentioning that if there's maybe like an FAQ section.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool. Thanks. All right. Anyone else have stuff on their mind related to contributor comms? Okay. Well, I'm going to stop the recording and we can hang out briefly. I realized we didn't do introductions, so we can do a quick round if anyone wants to meet each other. But otherwise, have a great weekend.